Welcome to the Talk and Chatter experience powered by Gasoline Alley Harley Davidson, Really Motorcycle Tyres Australia, and TCX Boots. We've just worked out 3 or 4 years basically as they roll since you've been here. Life's changed an awful lot, mate. For the goods. Welcome, mate. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks, Mick. Geez, I didn't realise it had been that long. I've had a lot going on there, a couple of kids and COVID and a couple of stacks and another championship. It's been a roller coaster, but mostly good.
Mate, it certainly has. You know, we sort of just sitting here and I've got the memory cards full. I've got battery packs full because you like to chat, and we sort of introduced ourselves to each other last time you were here, and we've chatted a lot since. And now sitting here again, it's like, man, you have changed so much in that time. As in what you do, how you've obviously approached things. How's it been? How's life been in that time, mate?
It's been like a lot of learning. You learn a lot about yourself when we go through. Everyone went through COVID.
Yep.
That was a bit of an adjustment for everyone. Life can just stop really quickly, and then then I had a big crash in Darwin that sort of put another stop to potentially my career, and a couple of kids as well as that, and just your outlook on life changes a lot, and your approach changes a lot, and I've definitely learned a lot in that time, and as far as a motorbike rider, I'm better for it for sure. It's not as easy as it was to physically put the leg over the bike,
yep.
But I'm still able to do it the way I want to do it, and I've learned a lot as far as how to ride a motorbike and set a bike up and make life a bit easier for me. I had a bit of a bullish sort of mentality probably going into that time where we chatted last time, really. Just get the job done and didn't really seem to care too much about what was around me and how the bike was. I just try and go and get it done. But things change a lot.
Mate, it certainly seemed like that. And you sort of said about the COVID thing, we were just into it at that point. It was probably April, May. It had only been sort of 8 weeks in. We just sort of, this will be good. We'll go racing again soon. And then you're talking about, that we finished that season off with a double header at Wakefield. Who would have thought that would be a thing? Looking at that sort of thing, it's been insane, hasn't it? When you look at that ride.
Yeah, at that time, I just gone and bought my first Sony PlayStation and thought, how good is this? I get a month at home to play online games with my mates, and then all of a sudden, it just goes on and on and on. And even into the year after, really, there was it was touch and go there a bit. So
for sure. So Troy Herfoss does play on the PlayStation, or did for 4 weeks?
Oh yeah, I was terrible. All my mates were playing a first person shooter game, and I got into it, and it was another world. I didn't realise how cool it was to play online, but I definitely missed the boat at 32. I felt like it was a bit wrong playing at that age, but it worked out quickly that the whole world was playing them, but I was a long way behind.
Man, I did much the same thing. I'm not really a gamer, but if I do play it, it's one place where it's sort of like riding a bike. It's all you can think of at that time, which is actually kind of a good thing. And I bought one of those first-person shooters and a PlayStation while COVID was on, and I would walk like a metre and get killed as soon as I went online.
What were you playing?
I played one of the Call of Duties.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not sure what one it was.
Yeah, I just remember.
But I couldn't do it.
I just loved it.
It's great.
Yeah.
But the level, it's like jumping into MotoGP.
Yeah.
You come from riding a Pee-wee into that. I'd walk a metre and someone just dropped me.
Yeah. My last experience of a shooting game was Nintendo 64, GoldenEye, which is what, mid-90s?
I'd have to be, mate. Yeah. It's when McGrath was sealing championships. We were playing that.
Yeah, we're playing that as well.
Mate, that's a different way of being. Honda. You're obviously a big proponent for Honda for a long time. 10 years, in fact, the last stint. Tell us about the ride. The journey of Honda.
It was unreal.
Yep.
Just got looked after so well, like a professional should be looked after, and every opportunity to be the best rider I could be the whole time. Through COVID, looked after me, and through my injury, looked after me, and that's sort of why it's confusing to some people that I've ended it, but in my mind, it makes so much sense.
Yep.
I went through the COVID and the injury, and then trying to crawl out of the hole, learn to ride the bike again, and that was a pretty rough year. We got so used to winning a lot, and we managed to get one win in the last round of the year, but it was a pretty difficult year, and I could have easily lost my ride at that stage.
Yep.
And so that's why I sort of made the decision pretty early on that, like last year, let's get back to where I need to be.
Yep.
And finish it like we had the perfect finish, I believe. Like after 10 years with the brand, we finished in the perfect way. Like it's how everyone dreams of finishing, but when you say you're going to do that, you get a lot of pushback, like not from Honda, just from people wondering why you would stop when things are going so well. But, you know, it's not guaranteed you're going to be able to replicate a year like that.
Yeah, it's so true. And I am one of the lucky ones that gets to sort of be around it a little bit. Championship photo time on the Sunday afternoon after the last round last year, round 7. Just seeing the team, like it's a very good functioning team. Just sit on the main straight. There was still the championship champagne being passed around.
Yeah.
It just looked like it was, I don't know, just such a positive end of the way. It was the perfect way to do it, and just to see the smiles and just pure elation on the front straight of that.
Yeah.
What a dream to finish that ride.
Yeah, it was that last week and a half. You know, obviously I announced I was going to stop with Honda, and at that time I didn't have, like I hand on my heart, had no idea what I was doing the next year.
Serious?
And honest to God,
Yep.
like the Indian thing hadn't come up. I had no overseas sort of like there was no baits out there.
Yep.
I knew I wanted to try and maybe go overseas, and I just felt like I wouldn't be able to give the same as I did last year, like as far as physically and mentally. I just couldn't do it. I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to give my best effort again in that same scenario, and so that sort of went down like a lead balloon, really. Like you know, not everyone, but like, you know, Dion had a couple of questions. He was wondering why it was happening, and it was late, and it wasn't ideal, but I knew I'd made that decision. I just had to get it out there off my chest. I think it allowed me to ride the bike better, I reckon. And then, so when we did win it and the dust had settled and you know, I wasn't sort of just up and leaving for a direct competition team and trying to race against them, it just made it so much better. And we could actually celebrate like the years we had together and yeah, it was such a fun weekend. Like that last lap of the second race, like I don't ever win races by more than a split second. Yeah. It's very rare. And like the way it went down and to dominate the weekend and dominate the races and leave no question that we won the championship. And just like that last few laps, it was just weird. Like knowing that I'd won it and I could just soak it up, and yeah, it was unreal. Just the best highlight of my career, hands down, for sure.
Oh, I could imagine the feeling, like you actually get time to think. Those last, was it 4 laps or something?
Yeah, I mean, even the first 2 laps that Josh wasn't there, I was still punching out like lap record pace, and honestly, it didn't feel like I was taking any risk. Wow. Like at that point, the bike was so easy to ride. I was just floating around the track, and then I sort of thought, oh, I've won. I don't need to be pushing like this. So the gap's big enough. I can literally enjoy this.
Yeah, it's I can imagine just how it would have felt, and being on the front straight. I got a real problem with you two guys, Josh and yourself. You're the bikes and the leathers on the weekend. They looked way too similar. Yeah, because like when the incident happened with Josh, obviously, no one knew, like who it was. Like there was just this brief,
just a little bit out of view at that stage too.
Little orange thing, and it was like, who is it? Red, like orangey red, and then obviously you look to the left. There's one team that is, you know, in terrible. It's the worst feeling ever. We've just lost this. Then I look to the right, and it's Christy and Dion and your team, like in absolute elation. We've won this. You know, it's not. Yeah, it's just what a moment, hey. It's just a capture in time. You know,
it is, and even for like for Josh and Craig and the team, like no one knew who was going to win. So like the emotions are high for everyone. So when it just goes the extreme to each way. Yep. But that's what makes the sport so exciting. And like the championship, like last year, doesn't get replicated often. So
No.
that's another reason why it was a perfect time to sort of step back from that exact thing I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I look back at, like, even now, you know, I think Dion sold the trailer a few days ago.
That's gone.
And the trailer's gone now, and Christy sends me a message. Sad day, the trailer's going. It actually is a sad day. Like you become so, that trailer's been there since I started.
Yeah.
And like, you don't realise how attached you are to that until it's really over. Like, it meant a lot to us at the end of the series when we have a drink and enjoy it, and it's over, this is sad, and then, you know, the next month onwards you realise you are actually attached to it.
Yeah. And the whole process of going to the race meeting with those people, and the coffee in your trailer, like everything about that. You had a nice setup there, and you touched on something before about how a rider should be treated. Yeah. You got that treatment. You know, you were able to go into that area and be away from people, get in your own space, bring people in and have a nice space for people to sit. It's how a person should be treated. Yeah. With, like, Dion, he basically, what do you need? What do you need to win? Yep. And then, I need this, this, and this. Okay, we can do this. And are you happy with that? Yep. Okay, then you know in your brain, that's that excuse gone. Yep. Like, everything's in place how I like it. And not that you want to be a fussy rider or anything, but like it does help when you're putting your balls on the line every week. Yeah. Like to feel like everyone's in on it with you, it does help. Yeah. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the big hat that you're wearing there, mate. Indian motorcycle racing. Congratulations! This is one of the coolest things that I heard in the off season. I was like, no way, that is unreal. Tell us about your ride. Like, I was going to say ride, but it's rides. Tell us about it, man. Yeah, I felt a bit cagey coming in here wearing an Indian hat today, but oh man,
I thought I've got to do it.
Oh yeah, I thought there'd be shirts. I thought you'd have a watch, you'd have all the Indian.
Bring the entourage in. It's the biggest rivalry in sport. I hope.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that side of it.
Yeah, especially over there.
Yeah, like it all sort of come up. You know, once I put out that I wasn't going to be riding in Australia or in Australian Superbike. They reached out. And just straight away it felt like it just sparked, it motivates me, the idea of it. Like, one, that the bikes are trick as. Like, it's the most factory bike I've almost dealt with, really. Like, there's some custom stuff on that bike, and it's really cool. And then just the whole rivalry thing and the quirkiness of it. And the whole thing with what I'd done was, like, I wanted to step outside my comfort zone a little bit. Yeah. And boy, have I found that. Like, I rolled out of pit lane at the test on a track I'd never seen. It was 6 degrees and raining on the biggest bike I've ever ridden. And I've ridden my mate's bike down the road around the roundabout and back, and that's it. That's the only experience I've got on that style of bike. Yep. And I've never felt so uncomfortable.
Really?
Riding around in the wet. Yep. And but then the next morning, wake up and the sun's shining, you get out on the bike and you realise it's a good handling bike. It's got the same characteristics as a road bike. Yep. You know, Charlie and I have got the same concept of setting the bike up, and it seemed to work at the test. And then you've got the little FTR 1200cc twin, the Hooligan, and it's just like riding a supermoto bike on steroids. It was so much fun. I went out of pit lane, and from the first chicane and onto the back straight and into the first hairpin, I thought, this is going to be so much fun to ride. Wow. So I left them 2 or 3 days, like sort of testing with the team, and thought, I've made the right decision for sure.
It just felt good? Yeah,
and it gets me to America. Yep. And I'm in the series, I'm in front of people now, and it's such a competitive series now, and you know, both manufacturers are investing a lot of time and effort into it, so it's a good place to be.
And you have a look at the views online. When you're talking of eyeballs, man, the amount of people that are watching King of the Baggers, Super Hooligan, like, so many. Not to mention, and someone we're around the same age, Jeremy McWilliams was riding that bike. Yeah. Like, That's a huge thing in itself, mate. Like you're a fan of motorcycling as well. You're not just a rider; you're a fan of it.
Yeah.
That must be a pretty special thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching 500 GP bikes. Like Jeremy Williams was one of the top dogs, and you know, I'm pretty certain I was at Phillip Island. Did he throw it on the front row at maybe even was it front row at Phillip Island late in the 2-stroke days or early 4-stroke? I can't remember. Like obviously I remember him a lot, but yeah. He enjoyed it. Like he sort of was the guy you'd always see on social media. Like that's what drew me to seeing the baggers really. And it's a really interesting concept. And the bikes are proper. Like they're really good bikes. Like they've got top suspension on them and good brakes and a lot of power. Like I've got a feeling like they actually won't tell me what the peak horsepower is, but I've got a feeling it's like, you know, up to 80 to 90% more than standard. Like it's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What about just looking at it, the height, geometry, things like that? How does it feel when you get on it? Like, is it tall?
It's tall. Yeah. That was the first thing they asked me how tall I am, and that's generally they're hoping for you to be short when you're talking to a road race team. Yeah. I said, I'm 6 foot. And that's great. Yeah, you should be good. We need bigger riders in this series. So that's one of the main things. Wow. And I think Jeremy maybe struggled in that area. Like he couldn't actually get the bike as high as they need to get it for it to steer properly because he literally couldn't touch the ground. Maybe. Yep. I'm not sure because I know that for me I was just touching the ground. Like I'm more comfortable to have one toe on the ground. Yep. I can just get 2 toes on the ground.
So from a race start, you'd be 1 foot.
I'll start 1 foot for sure, yeah. And they got so much torque, it's incredible. Like I'm pretty sure they start as fast as a MotoGP bike from 0 to 100k an hour.
No joke.
Way faster than any superbike I've ridden, for sure.
What, just the pure acceleration?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the length of the bike, the weight, and the amount of torque they've got. They just take off like crazy.
So what, like, how did it come about? Did they reach out? Like, obviously it's Tyler O'Hara and yourself. That's who's going to race the series. Do they reach out? Do they, hey, Troy, come and test this? Or was there a deal in place before you even... There's the first test only 2 weeks ago. You haven't been on...
I done the deal before then, but I had caught up with like Moto America guys. Yep. I had a quick chat with a few people and to be honest, at first that they mentioned, like, you know, the baggers are a good series, it's growing, and I hadn't thought of it at that time. I was sort of like hoping that I could go and ride a superbike in maybe England or America, and so they obviously told the Indian guys that I was interested. We had a meeting and it all sounded right to me, and went from there. And I actually done the deal before I rode the bike, and so it was nerve-wracking going over there. And luckily they sort of were okay with me bringing Charlie. Charlie come for a trial run at the first test to see how he fit with the team, and it just went real well. Like, and it helped having Charlie there a lot. Like he's been with me since my accident in Darwin, so that's a couple of years now, and we've gelled a lot over the years, and so having him there, he has a good understanding of what I generally like from a bike, and he got me comfortable pretty quick, and it's all gone from there. Like we had a good report from the first test. The team were really happy, and we were really happy. Both of us were sort of relieved that the bike, it's a normal road bike. Yep. There's no sort of real quirks to it as far as setting the bike up. So, yeah, we're excited for the year, really.
I spoke to Charlie just the other week, and it's sort of a bit different to here, I think, in this way. But even to you're in a factory team, like they sent plans of, like, build plans for the bike to Charlie to research before. Like, man, that's unreal. Like he can get an idea of this is what it is even before even getting over there and stuff. Like you can as well, but that's pretty unique, eh? Yeah,
and I think there's an opportunity for Charlie as well. Like, it's you know, the bikes are there. There's a lot more adjustment than an Australian superbike, so there's potential that, you know, if we come up with a great idea, then we can have stuff made to make life easier for us. So it's like for Charlie, I think he's really young in this game. Like I'm 37. He's the same age as me, but I'm sort of, as an athlete, there's a couple of years, there's a ceiling for how long I can go.
Yep.
Whereas as far as being a crew chief, electronics guy, whichever direction he ends up wanting to go, he's still really young in this game. So, like, I hope that opportunity that has been created here with Indian, like, that could set him off wherever he wants to go, really.
Yep.
So it's pretty exciting. And for me, like, I never thought I'd be in this situation where I'd be able to take a crew chief with me, like, to another country and learn to ride in a new series. So that's been a huge help for me as well.
Yep.
And yeah, and the team recognised that really quickly, I think. Like, we come in together and they could tell we work well as a team. So
it's cool.
Yeah, it's been a good transition.
So when you go, they're based in Wisconsin. When you go there, like, what do they do? Do they, like, is the red carpet get rolled out? Australian champions here. Like, what's the first day like, mate?
Rolled up in the cheapest rental car we can find, freezing cold.
6 degrees.
Yeah, g'day, mate. We're
Yep.
Troy and Charlie from Australia.
Yep.
No, they were just really down to earth people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, it was intimidating, probably for both of us. Like, they've got the Australian Superbike champion coming in, which I don't know where they hold that regard, but then we're going into factory Indian. You know, the team that's expected to take it to the championship contenders.
Yep.
And so I think there's probably a mutual respect there when we come in, and but it was weird. Like, we just rocked up at the track the day before the test, and the bikes are all there, and just introduced ourselves. And Charlie's like, he's good for me. He's really organised, and he's got a lot of questions for the team, and they were only too happy to sit down and start going through the bike, and it was straight to business, really. But but they were good guys. Like it's kind of fun. They're not essentially all from road racing, but they're all really smart people in their whether it's electronics, chassis, or whatever they are. They've all these smart people have come together, and it's pretty fun because they're bouncing ideas off each other, and it's a fun place to be. There's not really a way. There isn't a guaranteed direction on how this bike's going to work, because every year that Bagger series they're just dropping like seconds a lap. So every year they're coming up with new ideas. So I think for Charlie as well, it's fun because there's no set in stone direction for the bike and process for making that bike work. And then for me, I've seen how Tyler rides the bike, and that's cool, and I'm lucky I get to see that, and that works for now. But even for Tyler, he doesn't believe essentially that's the way the bike's got to be ridden. So as them 2 days went on, we're looking at the way we ride the bikes together, and I'm trying to get up to speed as quick as possible, and then try and make that bike as easy as to ride for me, and hopefully as the year goes on we can mesh these two things together and make a bigger step forward, because he's already got the speed to win. He showed that last year and the year before, winning the championship. Yep. So we're pretty lucky. We've got a good baseline, but everyone's open to a new direction, so it's pretty fun.
What a cool place to be.
Yeah.
What track are we at?
We're at Eagles Canyon in Texas.
Eagles Canyon?
Yeah.
Never heard of that one.
I haven't heard of it either, and they haven't raced Moto America there, but it was a cool track. It was, minute 57 lap time, and
wow.
Silky smooth, nice curbs, good runoff area. It was really proper track.
Yeah, that's cool. How many bikes on the track? Was it just...
It was full private test, yeah.
Oh, mate.
Like just Indian motorcycles only.
Yep.
The truck rolled in and just rolling out of pit lane all day. It was a bit of a shame that the weather's usually better in Texas from what I gather, but it was really cold. Like the first day I rolled in, there was a little bit of snow on the side of the road, and it was like 0 degrees driving out there and raining. And so the first day we didn't ride at all, and the second 2 days we got the Arvo to sort of make hay while the sun was almost shining through.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
What a crazy time. Like, I was with you the Wednesday before at QR. It was 39 degrees and 2,000% humidity and pouring rain.
Yeah.
To 0.
Yeah.
And, yeah. What an experience.
It is. It's fun. Like, I've had them couple of days on the Superbike with Benny and the team now, and just trying to make myself busier this year. Like, trying to make the most of it, and see how versatile I am at this age. And it's going to be interesting because the deal with Indian is like you know, the practice sessions are short. Like I've got to learn tracks. I'm going to Daytona in just over a few weeks now, not even a month. I'm going to have like 30 minutes practice, and then I'm going to qualifying. I've got 2 bikes to ride. I'm going to be up against the banking, up against the wall at 300k an hour. Like I think the bike does do 300k an hour there. So there's a lot to learn. So like riding motocross at the moment, riding the superbike a little bit, get on the bagger and just trying to make myself adapt as quick as possible. And it's funny going to the track at the moment. Yeah, I'm trying to get up to speed and stuff, but I'm taking a lot of note on how long it's taken me to get to a respectable lap time because, yeah, that's going to be the hardest thing this year, I think.
When you did get on the bagger, because that's, you know, I guess the V4 Ducati is a whole lot different to your Fireblade that you've had too, but the bagger's, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
Like, were you 20 seconds off? Were you 4 seconds off? Were you?
Yeah. So
where were you?
That first day when I rolled out in the wet, like given I didn't know the track, I hadn't been on Dunlop tyres in 10 years, and the bagger, it was probably like 4 degrees, 6 degrees, and raining. And I rolled out, and I think the lap time I done, I went 51 seconds quicker by the dry time at the end of the weekend.
51?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was just, I literally done 5 days and five laps just to ride the bike and feel what the gearbox, the power, the bike feels like. But then the next morning I went out and got going a lot better. But yeah, the lap time I done at that track, I mean, they've never raced Moto America there, but there's been some competitive guys right around the track, and I was only 2.5 seconds off the lap record on the bagger.
Awesome.
Like that's in a minute 55. I think minute 54.9, minute 57.2. So it's not. Sorry, it's a bit. What's that at? Yeah, it's within that range anyway.
Yeah.
But a lot closer than I expected.
Yep.
Like the team and I were sort of I was asking, you know, what races are like. I'm asking, where should we be? What are the differences and how far off should we be? But yeah, we were pretty happy that we were that close in lap time.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
because you know, is 2 minutes the golden number? Once you get under that, you can chip away. Or is it? But yeah, you're already in that zone. That's cool.
Yeah.
What's cornering like? Like what? Just
the bike's on the edge of the tyre.
Yeah.
The bike's so much feel.
Really?
The bikes move a lot. It's like the best Taree flat track, but Troy Bar's Classic night.
Yep.
The best gripped up track you've ever had.
Yep.
With about 20% extra grip. So like when you go around Troy Bar's Classic and the things like, oh man, this is great, you just get into it. It's like that on steroids. So the bike, it's like dirt track with the rear of the tyre, but you've got a little bit more front end grip, but you do get a bit of movement because of the weight of the bike. And you've got to be comfortable with the bike moving on the touch of the throttle. Yep. But it's like, it's just like having the most gripped up flat track you've ever ridden. So
you've got flex, sort of a flex sort of feel like a flat track, but grip.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
obviously the bike doesn't stop and accelerate as fast as a super bike, but it's the exact same characteristic. You can, because Charlie had seen all the data of the guys, and we were thinking, you know, like Tyler rides the bike a bit different to me. Mm-hmm. We've worked out now that I've ridden the bike, but we were thinking at first maybe I'd adjust the way I brake on the bike, but my data, like the way I modulate the brake and open the throttle, it's all really similar to the way I ride a super bike.
Right.
So it's just a bit different. It's a bit heavier, but it does the same stuff. But yeah, the main thing, the bike, it really likes to be on the edge of the tyre. It actually handles really well. Yep. Like you get on the edge of the tyre and you can use the rear brake a lot. You can use the throttle a lot. You can get the tyre to move, and it's pretty fun. And like I was like that thing on the edge of the tyre, you can get it down to where it's like almost chugging. It's that low on the revs. Yep. If you want to, from that point, you can just light it up and do the biggest dark you've ever seen, all the way to like 7,500 revs, and it's just making power. It's real weird.
That's cool.
So you can be the laziest rider in the world if you're comfortable with the bike rolling in with no engine brake in a tall gear. You've got all the power in the world just to crack it on. Like it's and
she'll just accelerate.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, and then the Super Hooligan bike, it's almost the same but really light, and so you get on the edge of the tyre, and you can just it's like, I don't know, it's just like this little bike. It's just so easy to throw around. So you just crack the throttle on the edge of the tyre to the max.
Because it's got a little wheelbase, eh, compared. Like,
yeah. It's a bit twitchier and stuff, and like it's definitely got its quirks, but like really rideable and really usable power.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
mate. What an exciting couple of bikes to be riding.
Yeah, it is exciting.
What's the? Is there a track that you go to? Like, you got Daytona coming up. That's the first one.
Yeah.
Is there a track you're looking at on the thing going, geez, what am I in for here? Like, you got Daytona, you've got Laguna, you've got Coda, Road America. I think like it's a hectic calendar.
Yeah,
what are you really looking forward to?
You've got the Banks of Daytona. You've got the Corkscrew at
that's going to be unreal.
Laguna. You've got like Coda's, I've heard bumpy and a long track. Then I've done Road America before. I remember like the feeling of I'd never ridden a road bike there and going fast there. The walls just feel like they're closing on you because it's like pretty tight. And all the other tracks I've watched on YouTube, they've got their quirks, and I don't think there's any track that's going to be worse than the rest. But like I've heard Daytona's going to be like it's going to scare the shit out of me. But I hope it's going to be an easier track to learn. It's just obviously the banking and the tyre. You know, they've got their own tyre for that track that I won't get to ride on. So I don't know. Like I'm just going in there and just going to try and learn as much as I can and try and be ready for race day. I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm definitely not underestimating it. That's for sure. Like. It's a competitive championship, and both manufacturers are very, very serious about winning it.
Yeah.
So for that reason, guys are going to be at a really high level.
For sure. It's basically 3 weeks' time to Daytona.
Yeah.
Bike Week, like when you did Supermoto, was that on? Like, I know Bike Week was on, but did you do anything there at that time, or was this your first time actually even to Daytona in general?
Yeah, first time to the East Coast. So the Supermoto series always started a bit later.
Yep.
So I haven't done Sturgis or Daytona or anything like that. So we talked about it a lot at the test, and I think from what I've been told, you just can't comprehend how many bikes are going to be there.
It's crazy.
But, I get in 10 days before. We do it a couple of days at Miami Homestead, which is apparently it's like a mini Daytona,
right,
to get a bit of an idea of the banking and that kind of stuff. And then that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Supercross, and then I'll head out and watch the flat track Sunday.
Yep.
And then I start the race, and then I think I race on the Saturday, and then Daytona 200 Sunday and home Monday. So it's going to be unreal.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Is that World Superbike weekend, or is it weekend? It's the weekend after World Superbike.
So I fly out the Monday. Yeah. So World Superbike, then I fly out the Monday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's the weekend after that.
So I'll be down there with my suit in case someone in the test needs me for a wild card.
Yeah, because like you said, I've got to be versatile this year.
Yeah.
If that opportunity did arise, would that be something that you'd take on?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The guys at Indian are open to me riding a superbike and keep my eye in throughout the year. So. And I've specialised in racing superbikes all my life. Like I don't want to close that door forever.
Yep.
My focus this year is to try my best to finish the championship as high as possible on an Indian motorcycle in the baggers and the hooligans.
Yep.
That doesn't mean I never want to ride a superbike again. It's just that's my focus for this year. So yeah, definitely. And like I said, the more you ride, like I learnt last year riding motocross a lot. The more you can be on a motorbike.
Yep.
In general, the better you're going to be when you roll out of pit lane on Friday morning to start the race weekends.
Yep.
And last year I just wasn't rusty ever. Like I just rolled out and I was ready to go straight away. So hopefully this year with the amount of riding I can do, and if some opportunities like that come up where I can dabble in a different series, which I've never been able to do, that would just be bucket list kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. It's just keep filling the cup of fun, hey?
Yeah.
Like, especially when you love it. There's something I wanted to ask you, and we'll go back to baggers and stuff, but obviously motocross last year was a big part of your training regime. Cycling has been forever. I think you dropped a bit back on that last year.
Yep.
the motocross just helped so much, like just keeping that rust away.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the cycling was always, that was like something I loved doing.
Yep.
And so it was great training, but I love competing with it as well. Last year with the motocross, I just sort of went back to doing the amount of cycling I need to do.
Yep.
I didn't do a lot of race. I actually didn't race the push bike. I done nationals last year.
Yep.
And I didn't race after that at all on the push bike.
Was that the Ballarat?
Yeah, Ballarat.
Yep.
And that was fun. I wanted to do that post injury to see if I could get back to where I was, and that was good. And then the motocross, like I started riding motocross after Eastern Creek because I had the jack of it. I was like, we were testing a lot for the start of the season, but it just wasn't happening for me. Like the first round, like Josh was really good at the first round and the second round. But taking that aside, like I just didn't perform as good as I feel like I should have.
Mm-hmm.
And literally like Tuesday after Sydney night race, I was out of the motocross bike for the first time in 5 years. And it's funny, like I think it's just my mentality, but when I went to the track that first day, I was already going to try and race nationals on the motocross, even though I hadn't ridden a motocross bike in 6 years or 5 years, because that's what drives me to that. Like with the push bike, I only ride the push bike so much because I want to race. I only ride the super bike because I want to race at the highest level I can. And so I jumped on the motocross bike, and then it was just all in, like way over the top. Like,
really?
I literally done 3 days a week for a lot of the time. And then I planted the seed about the motocross, and I got a good reception from Honda and Dion, and then it started to snowball. And then Dion got excited about it, and then all of a sudden the truck's coming, and we got bikes ordered and suspension, and it worked out good because we had, for the first time in my life, the stars aligned. Like I was riding motocross, we had Morgan Park, and we had 3 weeks, and then a 2-month break to recover from whatever might happen.
Whatever may happen.
Yeah. Turns out like I'd done all the practice I needed to do, and I was keeping myself at a good level. And then after Morgan Park, I'd committed to doing some training with Nathan Crawford's training group. Like I don't know if you know Nath. He's actually the older Nathan. Yep. He's sort of my age, and he runs a really good little program. Well, it's not that little really. He's getting quite big, and they're at the track training together, and it's good. You're with young, fast guys and some established 450 guys, and you've got something to follow, and you're out there on track with them. And anyway, it was the first day. I'd done a couple of days with him, but it was the first day I was going there, and I was like, all right, it's time to sort of commit to this and try and raise the intensity a little bit. And I was loving it. We were at a QMP and we were on the new track, and it was private day, and the track was just unreal. And it just all went south real quick.
So what actually happened?
I just come down into it was like an awkward downhill, like corner, like where you just sort of, you couldn't really point and shoot that well, and it was early in the day and the track hadn't formed up yet that much, and it was pretty soft. I just come in, I was standing up and I was on the throttle, and I just sort of got out of the throttle a little bit, and the front it was sort of like what would happen in the sand. I just got out of the throttle a little bit, and the front just dug in. And it wasn't that bad. It didn't feel that bad, but it just threw me over. I landed upside down, and it was on soft dirt, but I just landed on my collarbone, and I knocked myself a little bit silly. And what we'd done, we done a little bit of a qualifying situation. I was obviously one of the slower guys, so you start the race as a handicap, you know, 30 seconds apart or something. And so there was about 10 of us. I was one of the first to go, and like first lap of this training race. Anyway, I've sort of come, like I was out of it a bit. I woke up like properly, and it's like Nato Crawford was there leaning over me, and he was one of the fastest, so he's got to be like 4 or 5 minutes behind me. So I've been out of it for a bit, and then anyway, I get up and I'm like, sorry lads, like just keep going, I'm all good. Like I've just winded myself. And he's like, no mate, you haven't winded yourself. Like my collarbone's just sticking straight out, and I was obviously a bit docile, and I'd hurt a few ribs about a month, like just before Darwin. Just before Morgan Park I'd hurt myself. So not even that long ago. And I could feel a bit of pain in my ribs, but I was like, I've just winded myself. And anyway, they got me up, and I was actually so lucky that I was at a private day because, like, there's a lot of top riders there, and Jeff Leask was there helping out a young fella.
Yep.
And he said, "Oh, look, let's just get you in a hospital," and he knew of a guy, Dr. Steve Andrews, who I later find out's one of the most well-renowned surgeons in motorcycling, and I hadn't had any dealings with him, and he just made a call as we were driving in, and I got straight in to see a surgeon, and because of who I was there with, that helped out, and I got fixed up that day, and if it had been just the collarbone, I would have been fine.
Yep.
I could have thought about racing 3 weeks later.
Yep.
But the next morning I went to get out of bed and my lung collapsed and we didn't know why. I didn't complain about my ribs too much, and anyway, that all got sorted out. I went home and I couldn't sleep for it was 18 days. I was sleeping outside, like in a chair like this.
Yeah.
And I went in for the checkup with Steve, and it was all good. And I said to him, like, I've just been struggling with, like, breathing, and, like, I don't know if I've broken ribs or not, but it was funny. I didn't whinge about it because when I had the crash just before Morgan Park, my wife's a nurse, and, like, she's a hard woman.
Yeah.
And I was whinging about my ribs.
Yep.
And so I went to the hospital, and there was nothing wrong. They couldn't find that I'd broken any ribs. And so I've got home, and she's like, what are you whinging about? Like, just get on with it. So, like, I'm like, I didn't want to whinge about my ribs anyway. As it turned out, I had 8 broken ribs. Like some of them were displaced, and like 5 fractures and 3 proper broken. So it was pretty bad. And but anyway, we had 2 months to get over it, and I dodged that bullet. And by the time we went to the next race, I was fine. But the motocross dream never eventuated. And, like, I had all this support in place. MX Store were stepping up, and Honda had given me bikes, and Dion and Penrite were all aboard, and we we're going to do like a cool little feature on it, and I was going to have a chat to you about it, and like it was going to be fun.
Yeah.
But I went and watched the race, and to be honest, when I watched it, I thought, wow, like I went and watched the year before. I knew what I was in for, but yeah, it's a different game, and I had no ambition of doing anything. Like as in a result, I just wanted to get out there on the grid while I'm still young and see what it's like.
Now you're back on the motocrosser again. Feel good straight away?
Yeah, as soon as I got back out on it and not doing the motocross race, I was fine.
Yep.
Like it's funny, the intensity, I don't know what it's like for everyone else, but for me, because I was doing that race, there was a lot more intensity in the training, whereas getting back out there now, I went for a ride a few weeks ago with a couple of youngsters, Brock and Ollie and Harry Voigt and Johnny Litris. We all went out and it was just fun.
Yep.
Yeah. Not so much for Ollie. He done his collarbone that day, but it didn't knock him around. He was flying at Phillip Island the other day. But yeah, it's funny when you just go and you're getting your training done. Yep. It's funny the intensity drops a little bit.
How like do you a heart rate like chest trap or something?
Yeah.
What do you sit at?
Like I was at a stage where I was doing one day out there. Actually, I was out there with Jace McAlpine, Gypsy Tales, and he was just getting ready to go overseas, and he was mad keen on the Vets Worlds, and it was fun. He had that he was thinking about, and I had the motocross I was thinking about, and that day I put in three solid 30s, and I talked him into doing the same, and I think our heart rates were, or I know my heart, I'm pretty sure both of us were like right in the threshold, all 330s. So like for me, I was doing the Moto at inside the 170s, which like that's high, real high. Like I know with the push bike race, like I'll get into the 170s for maybe 10-15% of the race. Whereas on the motocross bike, it's like who can get there and hurt for the longest, depending on your speed levels. But for a rider like me, that's not going to be winning, you got to plan to be there the whole time. So you get home from that, and like at first I hadn't done it in a lot of years, and I was trying to relate it to like the hours per week on a motorbike, on a motocross bike versus cycling. Yeah. And like I was doing like 15-20 hours on a push bike sometimes, but it's a lot lower intensity. And then all of a sudden I was getting like six hours of motos a week, which I don't know what that's like for a professional, but for me, it was cooking me. I was tired, but I couldn't really get much quality out of any other training. So I can see why the motocross guys go for a recovery ride on the push bike, but they're not really racing their pushy around much because it's that high heart rate. It just takes a lot of energy out of you.
It's interesting, and you've answered basically the next question I had. How did it compare to intensity of your cycling? So it is more intense, the motor. Yeah.
It's like
sustained intensity.
Yeah, I would say if you want to do push bike riding for training, it's like that cross country mountain biking, which is like an hour to hour and a half full gas. Or criterium racing, which is like 30 minutes to an hour. Where you go from the gun. But like the road racing, which I enjoyed a lot, like the longer, that 4 or 5 hour stuff, it doesn't translate ideally to superbike racing. But that aerobic fitness I have, it does have to help because I think you're making decisions and your heart rate's more controlled because you're fitter, really.
Do you ever have a chest strap on for superbike?
Yeah, once I started with the motocross bike, I started doing some stuff. And
where do you sit?
Honestly, like the nerves of a superbike and the adrenaline rush, you can roll out a pit lane like 140 heart rate, and like sitting here right now, I'd be 45 max. So like just sitting there in the chair, your heart rate's going up well into zone 2, and you're just sitting there. And then like at QR there, I done a few longer runs. And like it's funny because you can relate it to like testing and stuff, and like I could go into all this for ages, but like a lot of these young guys, you set your bike up, you go out and I used to be the same. You go out and just give it hell for 3 or 4 laps, which is like 5 minutes, and your heart rate's still coming up at that time. So you're setting a bike up and you're loading that thing up 110%. But then I noticed with the heart rate strap, like I was going like between 8 and 11 minutes, you'd sort of get to where you can sustain it, and then you've got to start to manage it from there to the finish line. So when you're setting a bike up, a road bike, and you're doing it over that 5 or 6 minutes, and then you get to that next part of the race where the tyre drops away and your heart rate goes up more, so you can't load the bike because the tyre's dropping away, and you can't load the bike as much because your heart rate's going up too high, and then all of a sudden the geometry's out. And like this is all the stuff you got to think about with these bikes, because with electronics, if that bike's not really consistent, the electronics can't adjust well enough. So you've got to develop a bike that over that 20-minute period you can almost do the same thing every lap. And that's how the electronics work the best. So it's something you've got to think about. You've got to try and work out how to ride inside your threshold, even when it feels easy. So that's aerobic threshold
plus muscular threshold and bike threshold.
A
lot to it.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I'd love to. That's where I wish I was in. I wish I was at a high enough level in the sport where in Australia it's hard because you can't make a living out of that. There's such a big gain to be made in training people, physically, rider technique. That would be a dream job for me. Like I love the psychological side. I love the physical side as much as I love riding the motorbike. And I think I'm better at that. I'm not saying I don't have the talent, but that's what gets me to the front. There's guys out there that can pull the throttle really hard and better than me, but that's what I enjoy about racing.
Because your fitness is, there's no question about fitness, but your mental definitely as a spectator or someone that works alongside is it's crazy. You've got such a you've got like your state of mind is so strong. So,
and I don't know what, like I've just really enjoyed that. Like I'm interested in how people react. Like at the moment we were talking earlier, I'm doing some superbike riding with Brock Pearson. And getting the team going and getting him going, and I'm fully invested in it. And it's fun because like I'm interested in what Brock's like what makes him tick. What's his insecurities, what gives him confidence. Like it's fun learning about him as a person and trying to translate into why he does some stuff on the motorbike. And I'm interested in all that kind of stuff and working with not even just young kids, like everyone really, like even the older riders, like Wayne Maxwell and I are good friends, and I enjoyed enjoyed learning what makes him tick, because he's different to me as well.
Yep.
Like really different. He's got a really, like he can come into a room or a track and it can be really off-putting because he's really confident.
Yep.
And he's really sure about what he can do and how that translates, or is that he actually how he feels.
Yep.
But if you can have that persona, you can sometimes rattle your competition.
Yeah.
So like learning about that type of person, or it's all fun. I enjoy that side of it.
How did you do it with Josh last year? Because Josh is totally different to Wayne.
Yeah.
And totally different to you. You're all three totally different characters. How did you prepare for battle?
With Josh, he doesn't give a lot out.
Mm-hmm.
You just know that if he's on, he's really on. Whereas like with Wayne, I didn't sort of know. With Wayne, I could sort of race him. It wouldn't fluster him. That sort of thing. Yep. I just had to show that I was consistent and I was going to be there into the race. Whereas with Josh, I didn't know exactly what it was going to take to beat him. I just got the feeling, whether it was his package or his mindset, he didn't want to be raced against, basically.
Yep.
And that could easily be the bike he was riding. Like that bike might just like being out of its own wind. I don't know, but I just knew if I could get in there and race him and trip him up, and that would help me at the end of the race. And the way it turned out, we didn't get to do that. Like he either smoked me, or I could hold him off. And then at Tail and Bend was the only chance we really got where we had to race each other. And to be honest, he didn't react the way I thought he would. Like he was actually up for the race. Like I didn't think he would be.
Yep.
He didn't put any crazy passes on me, but he was definitely there ready to race me.
Yep.
So you I think sometimes you think you know what it might take, and that's okay because that gives you confidence.
Yep.
But in the end of the day, when I really come down to it, he was probably ready to battle me, really. It was only in Darwin there. The Darwin weekend was interesting. In race 3, he didn't race me.
Yep.
And I feel like off his lap times over the weekend, he should have raced me. So that was the only time where I thought he was avoiding me.
Yep.
But, you don't know what's going on inside the team or the rider or whatever. But for whatever reason, we held him off going slower than he'd gone all weekend. So, you take him when you can get him.
Talk about Darwin. Was it? It's a pretty wild weekend, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just all kicked off there, didn't it?
It did, mate.
It was really the perfect storm as far as, like, Mike had won the year before. Josh had a huge amount of success there in previous years. I had my first sort of win there after the injury, and I was good there before the injury. And it was the first round that Josh, Mike, and myself went to believing we were going to win. I think, as far as I'm concerned. And it made for a great weekend. And then, just the curveball after race 1. Josh just beat us hands down, was faster than us. Yep. I couldn't match his pace. I tried the whole race, and he just eked out a few tenths every lap. And then they threw a protest at us. It was like, what's that about? And then we protest them. It goes back and forth, and then I enjoyed it. It brought in a different aspect because I couldn't beat him at that stage. Like he was just downright faster than us in that race, and would have been in the next 2 as well. And then the next race he was faster than us, but he went off the track in turn 1. And then in the 3rd race I rode the slowest race I've ridden all year. Yep. Not because I wanted to. I tried my hardest, but I couldn't. He was faster than us, but he didn't race me. Yep. So that sort of got me feeling like maybe something was going on other than just the speed was going to win the championship. Maybe there was something inside the team with them or Josh himself. I don't know. Yep. And then from that point, he had a crash in Japan as well, which obviously hurt. You don't know what people are feeling. No. So from that point, it was different anyway. Really. Yep.
Mate, it was a great season. The whole way along. There's so many so many ups and downs for pretty much all the riders. But I think Darwin was interesting. The year before Jonesy, coming in turn 1 was just incredible.
Yeah.
You know, but it just didn't seem to be there this year.
Yeah.
The bike, whether it's the bike setup or the human side or whatever.
Yeah.
But like last year, like the corner entry up into there was just phenomenal, and his corner entry traditionally is quick too. But yeah, like you said, any one of you guys at that time could have really put it on. And then Cruiser was.
I tell you what, one I wanted to ask you about was the Morgan Park tyre thing.
Yeah.
Did you Did you know that? So I think you were doing.
I write the race report.
You done the race report for Pirelli, and so you were the first person I sort of talked to after race 2.
Yeah.
And did you know what tyre I ran at that time?
No.
Yeah, so you've asked me what tyre. Is it okay if I ask what tyre?
Yeah, because
And I'm like, and we were trying to hide what tyre we were using.
Yeah.
Because we were using the SC0 all the time.
Yeah.
And at that stage, no one was making it work.
Right.
And so because of that, we were crossing the lines out and outsmarting everyone, so they didn't know what tyre we were using.
Are you serious?
And then for race 2, we outsmarted ourselves, and I raced on a SCX tyre.
Yeah.
And so you said to me, I'm doing the release, can I ask what tyre you're on?
Yeah.
I've turned around and said, Dion, can we talk about what tyre we're on now?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, no worries, what tyre are you on? And I'm like, what do you mean what tyre we're on? You know what tyre we're on?
Yeah.
We're on the 0, I'm thinking. And he's like, well, what tyre were you on? And like he puts the doubt in my mind. And so that's why I turned around to you and I'm like, I wasn't even playing games with you. I was just like, I don't know. Like, I think I was on the 0.
Yeah.
And then so I think I told you I was on the 0.
Afterwards.
Yeah. And then I go up in the truck and Paul and Charlie and Granger and Dion are all up there and like, look, we got to fess up, mate. We just used the X tyre in that race and got away with it and we didn't even know. And to be honest, like, Jonesy went so fast in that race.
Yeah.
Like, I remember starting the race thinking, geez, this tyre's got some grip. Like, we went a little bit higher in the pressure and it made a few little changes, but I was like, geez, that worked. I can just tap away at 12.6 to 12.8 here. And then he ran me down and we had to up the pace again. And then I ended up winning the race. And to be honest, I'm not sure I would have if I'd have been on the 0.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, but that's the thing when things are going right for you.
Yeah.
They just go right,
They
don't
work.
they? But yeah, you were the first person I seen. I felt dirty because I thought, am I lying to him here? Like,
No, because the way you turned around was like I was asking like factory intel.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you were
I could tell you felt that.
Yeah,
you thought
like,
that. Yeah.
Well, and like because it was pretty much after the race, and then we spoke about it like a half an hour later or whatever. But yeah, as soon as it came around though, your look on your face was like, "What are you asking me for?"
Yeah.
Like I was like,
well, it was
"Ooh."
the first weekend of the year where like we established that the 0 could work for me.
Right.
And we even tried it at Darwin as well.
Yep.
But we knew at Morgan Park that was probably going to be something that was going to be beneficial to us because no one really liked the 0 at that time.
Yep.
So yeah, I was already a bit cagey because we had more races to go for the year.
For sure.
And so I didn't know whether I should be talking about it. And then Dion plans to complete doubt my mind and yeah.
Oh, that's funny as because like when it comes out, and I think I said this to you anyway, was you don't when you write it, you don't say exactly who's on which one. Like it'll be A1126 for such and such.
Yeah.
But you don't go into the actual detail of which particular rider. So it didn't need to be, but it was just because I get on with you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you what you were, and then it was like, oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Competitors on here. So, but
you just stepped inside the race with me.
I did. Yeah, pretty much. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But no, there's that's interesting. So you were on the 0 for a fair bit of the year.
So
apart from probably
when we started changing the bike a bit, and it sort of we had different grip, and so we just started trying different tyres, and we ended up trying the 0 at it. We were doing a club event out there, and we put the 0 in, and bang, I went quick straight away, and it wasn't necessarily have more grip. It just allowed the bike to move a bit differently, and and so we even tried it at Darwin, and I actually went pretty fast on it at Darwin in practice, and it was only like 2/10 off in outright pace, and then so when we got to Morgan Park, we used it, and then at Phillip Island, we should have used it.
Yep.
We spent all the testing and the first half of Friday with the plan that we were going to use the 0.
Yep.
And then we made a bit of a mistake, I reckon, we went we went for what we thought was a safer option, which was fine. We still had good pace and stuff. We had other issues that stopped us in the race, but I would have liked to see what would have happened if we had to use the 0.
Yep.
Because, it's a good tyre. And it sort of almost was on the outer at Pirelli.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of time we weren't using it, because I remember I used it the end of 22 at Tail and Bend. I was just flat slow with it. I was like, that's not going to work. But the bike was a lot different back then. So, yeah, it's funny. You learn. What I learned last year is you don't count out anything, really. Like, and you've got to retest stuff. It's not, if it's gone, it's not gone forever. You got to keep trying stuff.
It's an interesting one, because when the X started to come through, it was just that it's not going to be the tyre that's just going to be perfect for everyone, but it was one of the things that everyone just wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's fresh fruit.
You hear it's got grip,
great
so
grip.
you want it.
Everyone wants it, but you don't discount the SC0 or don't A1120C, whatever it is. But the SCX, when it did come through, everyone would just crawl to that tyre. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. But how's the Dunlop going?
It was interesting. I can't really give a definite feedback on it.
Because you're not bike for bike.
Yeah, because the bike is a lot heavier and stuff, but for me it feels like it moves a bit more on the touch of the throttle.
Yep.
But that's about it, really.
Keep going. Sorry, Troy.
Yeah.
Get you a bit further there.
Yeah, but I can't really give a proper comparison. Like, it was a complete different bike, and temperature. It was really cold, and but I felt good on the bike straight away, which I was happy about.
Because it's a big change. Like, you've been on Pirellis for 2021. I think you went back onto them.
Yeah.
You got that sidewall that's so
16.
Well, you had a little bit of time there.
Oh, sorry,
You had a little blue tyre sitting in there for a little bit. But
16 was the last time I went from Dunlop, sorry, yeah.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, Michelin for a couple of years.
Because that was obviously injury time.
Yeah.
I think were you on Pirelli at that? Or were you on Michelin when that happened?
Michelin when the injury happened,
It was? And then you ran Michelin until, I think, the start of the season after, maybe a round in or something.
Yeah.
That'd be about right,
Yeah, and that was a rough one, because that wasn't the reason I crashed.
Yep.
I crashed. There's so many factors. There's so many factors as to why I crashed.
Yep.
All the way down to just riding like a lunatic.
Yep.
We're with the V8s. Then there's a bit of a stoppage before we went out. They had the trucks on before that race. There's so many different things. Like, you can't blame anything. And they got a bit of a rough deal there, because we changed from Michelin to Pirelli, which was more so just because we're the only Michelin team, and I was struggling myself, and Dion just wanted to take that factor out of it.
Yep.
Apples for apples, we'll take that away, and then that wasn't the answer. I still struggled the whole first half of the year, but anyway, that was a bit of a rough deal with the Michelin thing, because we did enjoy a lot of success together.
Yeah.
And we went really, really fast. Like, that times I done at Winton was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. But yeah, then we went back onto the Pirelli and went fast in them as well. So yeah, I wanted to get that out there, because I really had such a good time being the only guy in the Michelin, and it was a good aspect, Michelin versus Pirelli, and it gave another dynamic in the sport. And I think Pirelli enjoyed it too. Probably cost both a lot of money because they had to bring better tyres, but
it's good though.
Yeah. But it's healthy for the sport, and I did enjoy that. It's probably what I'm looking for at the moment too. It's that, like, making a difference.
Yep.
Like, last year was really fun, and then this year it's been fun the few days I've worked with Brock and the Desmosport team, and then I'm going to Indian and trying to develop that bike in a series where the bikes are getting better at a rapid rate of knots. You sort of got that other focus rather than just knowing exactly what you got every weekend and try and get to that lap record speed every time.
It's such a different dynamic, from race to now you've got development. You've got this, you're developing a young rider.
Yeah.
Another bike, like developing the Desmosport bike a bit with the team. Like, there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Injury, like, I don't want to touch on it too much, but your Hidden Valley one.
Yep.
What do you remember from it?
I remember the front going.
You do remember that part.
And and then I just remember, like, excruciating pain for a minute or two when they were trying to sedate me again and get me sort of in line to put me in operating. And then I remember just waking up, just waking up and I was so out of it, I didn't really have any pain, but I just had scars. I wasn't wrapped up, so I woke up and I seen 2 big scars here and a big scar down here, and I had a bit of chest pain, my chest was a bit tight and broken toes, and I was just like, oh, that was bad. But I remember the crash, so I knew that it would have been bad because where I crashed, so I knew at the split second that I crashed that I was going to hit a wall.
Yep.
But it was weird. Yeah, it was just really weird. It's it doesn't haunt me or anything as such, but it does, but it doesn't. I'm past it, and I don't have any bad thoughts about it when I get on the bike, but I definitely did. It was a lot to get over.
Yeah.
It was just very unlucky, but it was intense. It was well over 200k an hour.
Yeah.
And just making that split second decision to curl up and try and tuck and roll, and when you watch the footage back, I was head first from 10 metres away at however fast I was still going, and I managed to sort of tuck and take it with my right hand side. But yeah, it was definitely life changing, that's for sure.
Did going back and getting that win, did that take some of that hoodoo off?
Yeah. Well, the podium.
The podium the year after. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you ask Paul and Charlie, looking at my data that weekend that we got back for that next year, I was slow as hell in that through that corner. Yeah. The first session, I was 30% less throttle.
Really?
So, and I didn't even realise.
Yep.
I thought I'm going to hit this, head on, and but yeah, I got passed there by Mike and Brian, which is a weird place to pass, and so they weren't going light on me either. They could have gone a bit easier on Brian stood me up there when I was battling for that race, which that's part of the deal. But I was haunted by it. I loved the fact that I could get back there and get that podium, but I wasn't sort of past it at that stage. I was still going out of pit lane, and honestly, I was still going down the end of the straight, especially at QR where I'd have hard on the brakes.
Yeah.
I just had these thoughts, what if the bike doesn't stop or whatever? Whereas that's gone now. But I think that goes away as your body gets better.
Because you probably don't have that fatigue of trying to manage pain or something. Maybe?
Yeah, because even now, I'll never get off a bike again where I can't feel it because I can't do the splits, say. So when I put my leg over the bike, it's not comfortable. Yeah. And I probably look worse when I get off the bike. If you watch me get off the bike, I probably look like I'm still in a lot of pain. But that's the only time I really get pain. It's just get my leg off.
Just that motion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when I put my leg over a bike, I get a reminder of the pain.
Yep.
But when I'm on the bike, I don't touch my knee on my right hand side anymore.
Yep.
Because it doesn't get out that far. But I've adapted now to that different sort of body.
Far out.
Yeah.
It was obviously life changing for you and your whole family.
And it's been a bit of an ongoing one really, because it re-broke because they couldn't fix it properly, and then last year as I started getting better, I started doing a bit of jogging and playing a bit of tennis and trying to get active again.
Yep.
And then I got a stress fracture on the other side, and I got some scans done, and I'm literally 18 mil shorter on my right leg now, so I'm actually shorter than I was, and that was putting my hips out of line and stuff like that. Yep. So it's been a bit of an ongoing process really, and now I'm pretty good.
So it's not just favouring it, your actual 18, because that's quite common for people too.
Yeah.
They favour it and then they damage the other side.
Yeah.
But you're actually 18 mil as well.
Yeah.
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 Damn.
So, yeah.
How's the running going? Because that's something that's not your thing.
It hasn't been my thing, and I just enjoy it. I think I've got a few mates that are good at it, and they're telling me off a bit, and I think just doing something that I wasn't going to be able to do, I'm enjoying that.
Yep.
Yeah. We got a bit of aircon.
Bit of aircon.
Starting to overheat here, sorry, mate.
Sorry, mate. Things are heating up.
Yeah, it's heating up. Talking about the injury, I started getting a bit hot and sweaty.
Yeah. I didn't want to get you too cold, mate.
Yeah.
You know, you've been the cold climate, the hot climate, but we'll keep that on. Hey, this year, obviously, I get to work with you a little bit. You're doing some stuff with Desmosport, which I think this is my 6th year doing stuff with the team, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
How'd that come about? Obviously, you're friends with Ben Henry.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
I've been really good friends with Ben for a lot of years.
Yep.
When I joined the championship back in 2009, he was one of the first guys I met, and just get along really good. So I've seen like what Benny's done over them years, and where he's come from and where he's at now, and he's had a lot of success. He made it to the pinnacle, you know, won the championship a few years ago with Mike, and but the last few years, like it's not a secret. He's had some struggles.
Yep.
And yeah, I want to help him, and the way this year's working out, the way it first came out was the track got resurfaced at Phillip Island, and there was potential that it wasn't going to get any laps on until the first round, and so we thought, oh, hey, why don't I do a couple of ride days inside that testing ban period, and that'll send Brock in there with a bit of data, and I'll get to have a ride on his bike and you know, see what it's all about, see if there's anything I can help with. And then we got excited, and we're like, oh, we'll go down to Sydney and just do a track day and do the race and see how it goes. And I rode the bike, and it was pretty fun to ride, and I went fast straight away, and so then here we are at Phillip Island last weekend doing a club day, and now Benny's trying to get me on the bike as much as possible, because we've seen what's happening. Like I've sort of, you know, I've verified that Brock is having troubles in these certain areas, and then with Charlie in there as well, and his way of setting up a bike, and now he's not just me, but him and Benny are talking a lot, and then Brock and I are talking a lot, and there's sort of double the progression happening.
Yeah.
And Charlie's ideas of setting up a bike are different to Benny, but they're both very open for change, and I think Brock's gaining some confidence from having me coming in as well, and it's just it's been pretty enjoyable, and I, like I said, if I can do some stuff with Benny and Benny's better off for it, that would be unreal, because Benny's one guy that deserves success. I mean, all the top guys do, they all put in a lot of work.
Yep.
But Ben's a good friend of mine. He's around the corner from my house, and I would love to have some success with him. That'd be cool.
You got a win on the weekend, eh?
Yeah, I got a couple of wins.
2 wins, was it?
Yeah, we didn't have the fastest lap of the weekend. Max Stouffer went really fast in qualifying, but we got better and better as the race weekend went on. And like I've always said, you don't have to be the fastest to sometimes get a win. But yeah, Benny was chuffed, and I was pretty happy. And even one of the races I won, I beat Brock by, not even a tenth. So both of us excelled, and both of us got PB lap times at Phillip Island, and yeah, it was pretty fun. I hope there's more to come, really.
It's exciting, and I was looking through the timesheets, obviously, from the club, and yeah, to see Brock right on the tail of that particular race. There was one race that it was a little bit further back, but I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it's going to be great for him and the team, and just everyone around that team. It's having success is such a nice feeling. Yeah, you need success. So.
Exactly, and like for me, like it's asking yourself the question, you know, why can't you do it, or why can you do it?
Yep.
Like that's what I'm enjoying, dissecting how Brock rides a bike, how I'm riding the bike, and what the bike might need to go faster. And like that's where Brock's been good too. Like you get that emotional low when you're going bad and the high when you're going good. So you generally find yourself talking about how shit it was or how great it was.
Yep.
So when he done that PB lap time in that race and followed me across the line for second, and was still going fast at the end of the race, that's all progression for him.
Yep.
So, okay, Brock, why did that happen?
Yeah.
Because you come in and you're enjoying it, PB, and yeah, I done this and done that, and it was cool, and you've got to enjoy that. But then, okay, like we want you to go to round one and have some more success. So we need to figure out why we're going better, and was it a fluke, or Was it the track conditions, or did we actually make the bike easy to ride? But I think we're definitely on that path now.
Because I looked at I think it was 24 ambient, pretty much the whole. Looks like he had great conditions to be at Phillip Island.
Really good.
So nice and consistent.
Yeah.
You guys are pretty much must be a fairly similar height.
Yeah, really similar. Weight, height, probably. We don't ride the same. I thought we might ride the bike the same.
Different?
We do ride a little bit differently.
Yep.
But that might align a bit as we learn about the bike more.
Yep.
But we do enjoy the same sort of tracks. So, yeah, I feel like I hope I can be of help to the team, and I'm getting to ride a great bike around Phillip Island as well. Like I'm down there smashing around Phillip Island on a different motorbike, and I'm learning a bit too because I've struggled at that track for a long time, and it'd be nice to see, was that purely me? Did my old bike not enjoy that track? Does the new bike like that track?
What's your thoughts so far?
I'm positive I can be better at Phillip Island, but I'm also pretty sure that I was right in the areas I was struggling with the Honda.
Yep.
Were places where that bike was struggling. Whether we could have fixed that, I don't know. But there was just places where on the Ducati it just went around the track easier.
Right.
But it does have both bikes are so different, and they do have their strong and weak points. And I wouldn't want to be going to. I wouldn't be confident to go to Tailem Bend and say I could go faster than I went on the Honda, because the bike really suits that track.
Yep.
Like a lot of point and shoot. I was really comfortable on that bike there. But then at Phillip Island, a long time on the edge of the tyre, turning on the throttle. The Ducati had its strong points there. So,
mate, that Honda at the end of last year, like I know you say Phillip Island, but no matter where you were, the work that as a collective put in, that bike just looks so good, hey?
Yeah,
like, especially at the Bend. But.
And we were so proud of that because worldwide they struggled.
Yeah.
And like that's where like that should be acknowledged, and I think it is, and people at Honda do appreciate the championship we won last year. But like that was a big win, because like we went toe to toe with the Ducati.
Yep.
And won, and like that was a big deal for our team. So it was pretty cool.
Just looking at it, the way it sort of just sat, and like just on rails. Like obviously the way you were riding it, the way you developed it, it's just a sign of a lot of hard work. Yeah, to get to that point.
Yeah. So now I get to see what the other bike does.
Yeah, can you do it here?
Yeah.
Now with Brock, like obviously he's been on the bike now for 18 months.
Yeah.
Pretty close to 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
Morgan Park it would be. What do you see? Like, obviously Australian Supersport champion, won dirt track titles, done a lot of things in riding, sort of like yourself in that sort of background.
Yeah.
Just got to chip away at it.
Yep. I think Brock's a really, really smart guy.
Yep.
He's really calculated. He thinks about everything a lot.
Yep.
From the bike, his competition, everything, the conditions. He thinks a lot about everything, which in short term can sometimes be detrimental. But I think he's got longevity in Australian Superbike and wherever he wants to go, because he's a smart guy.
Yep.
There's places where I think he will get a lot better, but I think he's understanding where he needs to improve as well, and that's why I'm enjoying being there, because I do think I'll make a difference there with Brock. Like, and even at the start of the year, like I was interested to work with someone young that maybe hasn't made that step to winning Australian Superbike championships, because obviously the goal for me is to go to America and race over there on the bagger with Indian, but the opportunity to ride a Superbike is there, and so if I can keep my eye in and then really help a young guy, and I would like to see him do well, it'll be good. And then he's got Max, who you've seen at the race on the weekend. He's making a clear step up too, and he's got Paul Free and Dion Coote have gone into that team with Jamie, and they've got I've seen Shannon Etheridge there, who's helped us in the past, and
oh really,
and Glenn Richards is there with Cameron, and then you got Heath and Jamie, and like it's a really good group of guys.
Yep.
That I've got a lot of faith in, and that's a dangerous combo. So yeah, I think the young kids have got the best opportunity yet, because like it's one thing to get our rides and the older guys step aside. You always see it, step aside, let the young guys have a go, and the reality is we're good enough to be there.
Yep.
And if they do step in as our teammates, they're probably going to struggle at first, but if it's because of the personnel. Like it's like this year, like Charlie's in there with me. He's helping Brock and I. So Brock's got my crew chief there to help him as well with Ben and his staff. And then Max has now got some of my crew as well. Paul, who was my crew chief, Dion, who ran the team, and other people as well. So that like they've got that opportunity with the people with experience.
Yep.
And I think like human resources are way undervalued, like especially in our sport. And I said that to Benny, over the years, like the amount of work that guys like Ben Henry and those guys put in, the Kev Marshalls, the Paul Frees at Honda
Craig
last year, and Martin, all them guys. It's like it's a lifestyle, and like it's so undervalued. They just put all this time in. And sometimes you don't get any reward. Like if winning is your reward, not many people get much reward. No. So, yeah, I think if guys like Max and Brock and Cameron Dunker, all these young guys can get hold of those really passionate and experienced crew chiefs and technicians, that's where they'll make the step. It's not about just taking the factory Honda or the factory Ducati. Like in our championship, it's a production-based series, so you can actually have the bike I rode. It's hard because there's full-time guys making my bike as perfect as possible, but it is possible.
Cam Dunker stepping up to Superbike. He's so quick. Like I looked at the times from Sydney, and then I looked at the times from the weekend.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, he
like it's to be expected. Like he's a great rider, but straight on the pace.
Yeah, I expect he's a big talent if you ask me.
Yep.
But he's going faster than I thought he'd go.
Me too.
And he looks safe on the bike.
Yep.
It was funny, and I think it was the last race of the weekend at Phillip Island. Yep. I got off the start, and I thought, I'm on Max here. I'll get to have a look at him and see what Max is up to. And then Cameron gets a whole shot on me, so he's second. And I come out of turn 2, and I've driven up on him from turn 2 to 3. So it's like turn 3's ridiculously fast.
Yep.
I've showed a wheel on him, and like I thought, he'll balk, and I'll just I don't have enough speed to take the spot, but at this speed he'll probably balk, and I'll just take it off him.
Yep.
He just closed the door.
Serious?
Yeah, just shut. He shut it that hard that Brock come around the outside of me as well.
Fantastic.
And after it, I was like straight out there to say, good job, like.
Yep.
And he's 16, like he's tiny, like I'm talking to a kid.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and he's racing like properly on a superbike, and he's calculated, and he didn't make any mistakes. He
looked good.
Yeah, he looked good. So yeah, the sport in Australia is healthy, if you ask me, really healthy.
I've got a few names to chuck in. They're riders you ride with a bit. Harry Voigt.
Yeah. So I haven't had much one-on-one time with Harry.
Yep.
But from what I have, like, just like an absolute like student of the sport. Yep. Just he's like, he just listens. Like he's such a good rider, but he doesn't talk about it. Like he's just a sponge. Like
just takes it in.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of chats with Craven Martin about him, and even Craig said he's just there, willing to learn.
Like 29's on his first run on it.
Yeah,
it's pretty quick.
Oh,
it's
so
Sydney.
Quick. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then I've been to the motocross track with him there that one day, and he just goes there and he gets the job done.
Yep.
Like he trains hard, and yeah. Like he's really fortunate to have good support, and his family are behind him. But he has full respect for that, I think, and he's a student of the sport, I reckon.
Incredibly mature, right?
Yeah.
Like if I look back at that age, his maturity level and do what he does overseas, and incredible.
Yeah.
You had a teammate for Taylor Bend and Phillip Island 2 years ago, Senna Agius.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Where do you see that?
I reckon. I mean, I know Senna better than Harry, but
Yep.
and so for that reason, I'm happy to say this. I do believe he's like probably the highest potential we've got.
Okay.
Like and I shouldn't say that because he's maybe a year behind him, I guess. So
Yep.
I shouldn't say he definitely is, but just for where he's at now and the way he dominated that championship last year.
Yep.
And his trainer thought, I really like it. Like he come into that team with me and he was just like, what does Troy do and how can I do it better than him? Like,
Really?
Yeah, and even his training, like I told him a bit about his push bike riding and he can tell he's just like, I don't want to just train on the push bike. I want to put out more power than Troy's ever put out or whoever it might be. Like I love that he's just like, he's got that sort of killer instinct. He's like, whatever I'm doing,
Yep.
I'm going to make sure I'm doing it better than anyone. Yep. And like, yeah. And I think he's such a talented rider and he's still got a Honda Fireblade. So he has Shannon Etheridge helping him a bit of the track, and Shannon and Charlie are good mates. And so
Yep.
they're always talking when they're out on track. And like Senna's always like, he's never happy whether it's a ride day or not, unless he's taking my best times or up on my PVs. So
that's fantastic.
I love his attitude, and,
Yep.
and I think he's got that sort of like win at all cost attitude, but he's so far ahead of his age. Like him and Harry, like I see them two, and I'm like, at their age, I was just like doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like blowing the start and running off the track randomly, and like here they are, like rocking up to the track and just laying down lap after lap after lap after lap.
Yep.
So
It's
like Senna's test at Valencia, like I think he finished 7th outright.
Right.
He hadn't ridden the Moto 2 the World Championship bike in a while. They're on Pirelli. He missed out. All them guys had Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the race. They're waking up Monday morning. All their braking markers are out.
Yep.
He's got to go and get up to speed, and he finishes 7th. Like for me, that was like, I'm probably biased, but I would say he was the most impressive of the Moto 2 test.
It's incredible, and it's just professional, both of them.
Yeah.
Like, they're right on the cusp.
Yeah.
Senna's on, he's got the full series this year.
Yeah. I've seen at Kodo, we've got the baggers at Kodo, so I'm ordering my Senna Aegis shirt now, and hopefully after this podcast he'll send me one for free.
Yeah, hopefully. He'll probably listen.
I'll be up on the fence.
When you talk of professional with it too, like he flies out on the 12th for his season of Feb, so he flies out on Monday.
Yeah, okay.
He's trying to come up. He was going to fly up and do this this week. And we were talking this week. He's like, now I've got rest day on Saturday. Like, he got it. Just his program is so worked out.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I admire it too, because that's how I used to be, like a little bit that way. And not that I've relaxed, but with kids and you get busier, and I can't sort of be as selfish, let's say.
Yep.
And that's how you've got to be. Like for him, I'm glad he's that way. But he is. Yeah, he's really keen on just being as good. And I haven't had any real influence on him, but I don't know where he's got that from. But he's realised that health and fitness is free. So why not just be as good as possible?
Yep.
That's what it seems like. And and even with injury, everything's easier when you're fit. So I feel like he's got that. Like he's in the World Championship now, and he's taking it all very seriously. And you do, like I'm sure Jack Miller comes across as a larrikin, but you don't get to where he's at, just sort of rocking up to the track. I'm sure he's putting in a lot of effort. So hopefully that's rubbing off on guys like Senna. For
sure. One person you have a bit of banter with online is Max Stalfa. Max, over the last 12 months, we'll call it actually Summer Night Series last year, there's just a sheer massive improvement.
Yeah.
Everything was coming together at the time. He's really got it dialed, eh?
Yeah. And he's another kid, like he's completely different to Harry and Senna, because although they grew up together and they're all really good, like his path is different, because he hasn't had the chance to go and ride overseas and do that stuff. So he's probably a superbike guy, I guess, now. Whereas you look at Harry and Harry and Senna are probably they're probably GP focused, I imagine, and like I can probably relate to Max's approach a bit more because that's the way I went. I come in a bit later, but I was a superbike guy, and then I've got a really good relationship with Jamie, so it's always the banter that you're still not as fast as your dad.
Yeah.
But actually, after the weekend, I think there wouldn't be much many tracks left now where he's got a faster lap than his son. But times change, so we can, for Jamie's argument, we can argue the bikes and the tyres.
Bit of fudge.
Yeah, but Max is like he's lucky because he's grown up with his dad who's been really competitive. So normal for him and Ollie Bayliss to a higher extent.
Yep.
They're used to being in a higher pressure situation.
Yep.
Like, so being at the track and seeing your dad race for Superbike championships all the time, that's normal.
Yep.
So, like, that's why he's dangerous this year, because he probably feels at home with all the top Superbike riders. He's been in the paddock with them for years. Like, his dad only raced to win, and, like, I feel like that sort of rookie nervousness, that might not be quite there with him.
Yep.
So, like, from a mental side, I think that's like a plus for him. But and he's got that sort of, like, he's just a young kid. Like, he's like down there at Phillip Island, just the way he walks around the pit, and he's just, the confidence is there.
Yep.
And, like, if he can harness that, he's going to have a great year. So, like
cool.
I said, I love that side of the sport. Like, I love just seeing how people act, and
He's a cool young lad.
Yeah.
He is.
And he's up and about, and he's
And happy.
Yeah.
But he's happy. He's doing it. He's definitely just a nice person to be with and be around.
Yeah.
Ollie on the weekend on the V2.
Yeah.
Man, that's fast.
I haven't been in a pit with Ollie before.
Yep.
And so, he's just, like, super competitive.
Yep.
And, like, just doesn't care what's underneath him. Like, that bike he was riding, it wasn't his World Supersport bike. Like, it's a V2 race bike, but it's so far off. But, like, his head won't let him have that excuse.
Yep.
He just wanted to go fast. Like, and that's detrimental to you sometimes too, because you end up pushing above and beyond, and, like, but you can see why these kids are going as fast as they are, because they've all got something.
Yep.
Like Brock, Harry, Ollie, Max and Senna, they've all got something about them that makes them go out on the track and do something like that'll get you there. So they're all different, all them guys. But Ollie's different again. He's definitely a competitive guy, and, like, he's one guy that I'd imagine if we all sat down and had a game of poker, he'd be a really competitive guy. That's probably what he brings. Like, everyone's got different things that they're at a high level at. He's super competitive. And some people think a lot, some people just send it, everyone's different, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
What was the highlight after these last few years at Honda? Obviously winning the championship last year, but what's been one of the really good days, mate, that you've had with the team? Maybe it's not the winning day, but what's been one of the nice days?
It's been that last year when we started having some success again. The most enjoyment I had was when we all sort of made a change. Like when it wasn't just, we were definitely making the bike better collectively.
Yep.
Like, that was probably the most satisfying thing, because I wasn't going to win the way the bike was. Like, the injury was the problem, but then we realised midway through 22 that, oh, hang on a minute, like, my body's actually pretty good, but we're still not winning. Yep. Everyone's made a step and we haven't. And then, last year when, like, just everything stepped up. It was, like from Granger as my mechanic with Colzo, and just their attention to detail there and the pressure they had on to make sure the bike was 100% every time.
Yep.
Like Christy organising the events and making sure I knew where I had to be, making sure lunch was ready and the media stuff was on time, and then like learning to cooperate with her and not being so uptight about it, and
Yep.
and Dion given Paul and Charlie complete and 100% trust,
Yeah.
which made them feel like they could just do what they needed to do. Because Dion's really involved. Like, he loves the technical side of it.
Really?
He loves, he really enjoys, like, seeing what the bike's doing.
Yep.
And then, you know, he's got a massive business, so he's coming in and maybe not getting all the pieces of the puzzle, and he's asking questions but once he was on the same page and we were all working together, and then you got Charlie and Paul, like, that they just, like, come together so well.
Yep.
Like, Paul has like an amazing ability to set a chassis, like the chassis of a motorbike. Like, if you go to the track with no computer screens and a bike, and you've just got to talk to the rider and get that bike to go on the track.
Yeah.
I would say that's his, like, greatest attribute. And then you've got Charlie. He's come in. He's a nuts and bolts guy as well, and he's really focused on electronics over the last few years. And he knows a lot about. Well, he has a good sense of what the bike needs to go on the track fast, but the bike doesn't work unless they're working together.
Yep.
So, like, at that stage last year when that started to happen, and Paul and Charlie and myself are starting to all make things happen and understand the bike better. Like, Paul got better with the electronic side. Charlie learned a lot about the chassis side, and I started to understand them both them things as well.
Yep.
Plus them guys understanding my riding, and, like, at first it was like I was pretty, like, arrogant about my approach. Like, I was like, okay, the bike has to work for me. Like,
Yep.
I've ridden this bike forever. Make it work for me. Like, it's not doing what I want it to do. And then the realization that it's never going to do that. And then the three of us sort of coming together and getting the bike to go on the track a bit better. That was the most satisfying part. Like, yeah, which all started from sort of like after Sydney, it wasn't all rosy, really. Like there was some hard questions asked, really hard.
Sydney night race.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like you would think after a podium, them first two rounds were pretty happy, but
Yep.
I can tell you now there was some tough questions being asked from everyone, from me, from Paul, from Charlie, Dion, from everyone. Like,
Yep.
and so a change had to be made.
Where, like, the just overall performance?
Well, there was definitely beginning to be a lack of trust, like, not trust, like, there was a bit of lack of faith in the bike actually being able to win. Like, and whether they were feeling like, or they were knowing that I wasn't going to be able to do it with the way I was approaching it, and then me being frustrated that we couldn't make it better. I don't know exactly where it was, but
Yep.
like, after that Sydney night race, like, there was like some pretty hard questions made, and then from that point on, like, it's like everything was on the table after that.
Yep.
Like, everyone's vulnerabilities were out there, everyone's insecurities were out there.
Yep.
And then life's a lot easier when you face up to your insecurities.
Oh, yeah.
A good mate of mine, he's written a few books about insecurity, and that's his thing. And
Yep.
and I speak to him a lot. Well, over the years, I have probably not as much anymore, but yeah, just reading the book and that philosophy, like the book I read about insecurity, like, it just makes so much sense. And, like, we've all got so much insecurity, and it's so detrimental to you at some time, and then and advantageous as well. But
I guess you sabotage a bit with that, don't you?
Yeah, self-sabotage. Yep. And avoiding your insecurities, basically.
Are you bad at that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think we all are at some stage, but, like, I'm definitely so much better now.
Yep.
And having kids helps that as well. Like, I feel like I'm at a stage now where I'm not amazing with criticism. Like, I definitely get my beak out, especially when the adrenaline's flowing, and
Yep.
I've been classic for it over the years where, when I get the helmet off, it's a complete disaster.
Yep.
But I'm definitely getting better. Like, and that's one thing that probably Paul and Dion, like, had to address with me, but obviously that's a hard thing to address because of the way I am.
Yep.
But that was one thing that I had to work on a lot.
What was one of the worst days of last year? Comparing it to A good day.
Compared to a good day? The worst day, like at Phillip Island after that weekend was probably the worst.
Yep.
Like I wanted to tell myself it was a good day because I got a podium, but like at that point I knew that I wasn't good enough. Like what we were doing as a team wasn't working, and like I could get the bike around the track reasonably good, but that was giving the team false hope. Yep. And I knew deep down that I couldn't race that bike anywhere near as good as I needed to win. But I'd also gone out and sort of, you know, said I was going to win. Like, yep. We're here to win a championship. And that's all part of the process of winning, is owning it. But like, I was lying to myself, and like that getting home on the Monday, Tuesday and like realising that this ain't working, but it looks okay. Like, yeah, that was probably a bit of a disaster, really.
So I guess that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're feeling that lie.
Yeah. And even crashing the dirt bike and hurting myself, like that was...
How'd that call go down?
Oh. Yeah, it was... I was lucky because it was okay. Like, yeah. I was lucky that we had 2 months off. We had a huge break, biggest break I've ever had.
A silly break.
Yeah, but yeah, I made sure when we went to QR, like given we had... QR was the start of the changes with the bike, but then we went to Hidden Valley Morgan Park, and then we went to QR to see how my body was, and I was on my best behaviour that day. I was putting the foot down and making sure I was going fast because I didn't want anyone thinking that I was going to be hurt. But yeah, I was straight down to business and going fast than I ever had. So
is that the day you were that was your fastest ever lap?
Yeah, fastest ever lap. Yeah, a couple
straight
of tenths under. Yeah, literally by midday, Freebie and I were like, well, the collarbone's all good, bike's good, let's pack up and go home. Yeah.
Ribs are okay?
Yeah. Yeah, ribs are okay after that point, but yeah.
I won't keep you much longer because you're wriggling and you're probably uncomfy over there. But
no, I'm good, mate. I can talk all day.
Oh, I know that. That's why I was like, I better top these memory cards up and all this goes. What's the logistics? How do you work this year? Obviously, you're a bit of a FIFO sort of guy nowadays. Yeah. What do you do? How's
it's
this
just
work?
like it's just run a lot differently to what I'm used to. Like it was very luxurious with the last few years at Honda because it, you know, just flights come in, cars booked, motel, food on the table. Whereas now it's, you know, that's part of my budget for the year is my travel budget, and Charlie the same, and so there's a bit more organising going on, and just going to fly in, fly out for this year. Barring the middle part of the year, we're going to rent the house and take Emily and the kids over.
Yep.
And we'll spend probably 3 months through the main part of the year. But I'll do probably 4 or 5 fly-in, fly-outs around that. And then, like the dream is for it to go well and establish myself to be able to race there in the years to come, and then maybe think about staying there on a more full-time basis.
Wow.
If the family's up for that. Like, Emily's got a job and the kids are still 2 years out of school, so... It's a good time, but we're just taking it as it comes now. But
great.
I'm really lucky having Charlie. Like I just like he's like the help he gives me, but plus we're organising the time over there together and cut the costs with cars and accommodation and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be pretty fun. I think we're both excited about it.
Yeah.
Like it's funny. The last few weeks, every day I'm on the phone to him and then. Sometimes I go, I better not call Charlie today. I don't want to bother him too much.
Yep.
I call up. He's, I've got a few questions to ask, and the bike here, the bike there. So I think we're both really invested in it at the moment, and we've got 2 things to think about. Like, we're riding 2 different bikes at the moment, so we've been jumping from 3 different, from the FTR, the Challenger, and then doing some work on the super bike in Australia.
It's cool.
He's busy because he's the type of guy that's all in. Like I think Benny didn't realise how invested he'd be. He's on the phone to Benny a lot. And then the guys in America, I think, there's a lot of questions. So, it's good.
I can tell his enthusiasm too. Like we did we didn't do a private day, but we got pretty close to doing a private day. And I'm going to tell you this, Troy, like that could have been the coolest day of my life. Like we had yourself, Brock.
Private day.
We had Ryan Yanko was thinking about buying the V4, which I think he did in the end. and then I had my own track bike out there.
And was your second day on it?
I haven't ridden it.
No, I thought you'd ridden it.
Sorry, I've done one lap on it just to see it ran.
Gotcha.
Before when I first bought it, and then I stripped it completely and I put the Owens and that in, and then it got rained out.
And we had all the time in the world to go and do some laps together.
Just do whatever.
It would be fun. Yeah.
A private day, and I was like, this never happens. You know? I was like so keen, but anyway, it didn't happen. We got rained out.
I hope there's another chance.
I think so. I think there will be. So.
But Charlie and I that day we were like spewing because we just gone to Sydney and we had a few things we wanted to try and we had a free day to just to go to town,
to go do whatever sort of thing. Yeah, it was a shocker. But listen to Charlie talk to Ben that day. Like, have you got dyno sheets for this? Have you got this?
Yeah.
Have you got that? He's so keen. Like,
he wants to paint the whole picture.
Yeah. He just needs everything. So
he's a guy you could easily kill a few hours here with and the technical guys of the racing world would enjoy it because he comes from like some great pedigree.
100%.
Yeah, great engine builders, and then that's really his thing.
Yep.
He's the nuts and bolts, but he's taken the electronic side really well, and now he's sort of learned the chassis side and he's one guy that's got a lot of knowledge, especially for a young guy in that field. So
for sure,
I'm real fortunate to have him working with me.
I'd like to get him. I'll get him in here one day. I've got you got me Paul's number end of last year, so Paul's got his new business open up and he's keen to come and do that.
Yeah, he needs to get on to Paul because he's not a guy that's he's a man of few words. So
yeah,
but I reckon if you got him in here and really dug in, like he's been around for so long.
Ever.
He raced competitively.
Yep.
Then he started out with Phil Tatum and then ran the Honda team for years and now he's taken on another venture and like I said, one of them guys that I don't know what goes on in these guys' heads, but they can make things work. So
yeah, they sort of see something else, don't they?
Yeah, they see stuff. I can't see what they can see, but and then they can explain things across the rider too, which helps as well. So
yeah, you need that.
Yeah,
mate. I wish you every success for this year and beyond. Thanks for coming back in again. I want to do it again, hopefully end of this year or early next year or something, or whenever you want to.
As long as last time, because I'll be 40 then. So
yeah, well, I'm 40 in 2 days' time.
Oh, really? Happy birthday, mate!
Thanks, mate.
Congratulations.
It's coming up real quick, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, life goes real fast.
Yeah.
But so that's coming up real fast. But
you're just building your track day bikes at 40.
Yeah,
it's good to see.
Why stop, eh? So
I'm not stopping anytime soon. Yeah.
When you just got to do it.
Yeah.
If the opportunity's there to do these things, you've got to just take them and, I want to do a bit of flat track this year and whatever's there, let's bloody do it, So, but yeah, for you and your family, mate, this year, or every success. And, it's cool. Like, I get to work with you this year with the Desmo thing.
Yeah.
For when you're doing the testing and whatever else may happen throughout the year.
Yeah.
And, thanks for coming in, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Mick. I appreciate it.
That's all we have time for on today's show. If you get the chance, head over to YouTube and hit subscribe on the Talk and Chatter page. Also, head over to iTunes and give us a star rating and a review there. It all helps to get the podcast out there. A big thank you goes to everyone that's been doing this already, and we'll be back with another show soon.